So here is one thing that if you are failing to do this, I can be pretty sure your relationships are going to struggle. You are going to have some problems, whether it's fights or tension, power struggles. Specifically, this is something that I've been thinking about that comes from a parenting book, but it goes beyond even just the parent-child relationship, if it's a marriage or whatever. And by the way, this is something that I work on, and hint, hint, that means I have struggled as well. So I'm right there in that boat with you. Relationships are hard. Hey, that's how it is, unless you're some sort of born pro at relationships. They can be a lot of work. And the one thing that I've been meditating on, letting absorb into myself from the recent book I read by Dan Siegel and Tina, can't remember her last name, No Drama Discipline. I did a little book review. Connect before you correct. That's the phrase. I love the phrase. I love the way it's such an easy thing to remember. I can just chant it like a mantra in my head. Connect before you correct. And there's an old one that people talk about, the criticism sandwich. Is that what they call it? Where you give a compliment sandwich. So you give a compliment, then you give a criticism, then you give a compliment. And that's good. That's kind of gets the idea of it. But I think this is way better because it actually fits with the neurology and it makes more sense that the reason you would give that compliment first is because it's disarming. And the problem is that when people come at us with a criticism or a critique or a correction or a teaching, we have defenses, and we have defenses for a reason. It's good. It keeps out a lot of junk. It's a filter. We like that defense. We want to keep some defenses. It's good stuff. Everybody has them. But when you come in trying to meet with someone for the situation in which you might lower their status because your feedback is not putting them in the best light, that's how we think of it anyways. A lot of times, obviously, a correction means we made a mistake, and you could reframe that also, that a mistake is a good thing because it means you tried, it means you're trying, that you're actually participating in life. So making mistakes isn't bad to begin with, but generally when we see ourselves making mistakes, we see that as lowering our status. So you're coming at someone with something that might lower their status, whether it's in your eyes, they think you're going to think less of them, or the world's eyes, or their own perception of themselves. And so that's a threatening thing, and you meet these defenses. And so the idea of the compliment is to disarm the defense because you're saying, hey, I do like something about you. I like this thing. And so my feedback isn't all bad. So it's not all dangerous. It lowers the threat that you're posing. Whereas connect, I think, takes it to another level because that's really what the person wants to know. Are you on my side with this? Are you on my team? Are you going to stand by me through this? And are we walking side by side as we solve this little problem that maybe they didn't even know was there? Connect before you correct. So this has been so huge with my kids. I can see them when I correct first. I can see the anxiety go up. And this is just such a gut response. You see something that they're doing, it's appears to be ridiculous in your own judgment as an adult, and you freak out and you say, no, stop that. And what did I do? Maybe they were doing it because they were anxiously doing something. Maybe they are feeling uncomfortable for whatever reason to begin with. And then I just ratcheted up their anxiety. And this is what Dan Siegel, all his work with children and meditation is about, is that realizing that when we're in this anxiety, fight or flight mode, we're not accessing the most of our frontal cortex and our decision making and our rationality, where we can really make the best decisions. We're acting on instinct and impulse based on this fight or flight or freeze response. So I just ratcheted it up. And you know what I'm going to see? I'm going to see even more bad behavior from my kid, quote bad. So I can see that in real time. And it's like, boom, my reaction of anger, correcting, whatever, the way I just brought it, I just actually multiplied my own troubles because I made my kid more into a state of anxiety where they're going to just be doing the things that irritate me, that I don't like, that waste time, all those things. Whereas really connecting, when they feel really connected with, then there's so many opportunities, and it's so obvious with kids that they just love to do things right. They love to make you happy. They love participating in things like following the rules. Like there's something really joyful about that they also enjoy, because it helps them feel kind of like an adult and feel like they're their own person that's really kind of participating and doing things, of feeling like that, of belonging and love and things like that. So connect would be something completely different, where it's more like, whoa, I see that you're doing this thing right there, that's really interesting, and you must really be enjoying that. Like, what is it exactly that you're doing? And then they might say, oh, I'm making a mud volcano in the house or something, because isn't that fun how mud explodes? Yeah, something like that. I'm just making it up, but I'm connecting. And then there can be the correction, where it's like, can oftentimes be really gentle. Oh, hey, can you just do that out here outside instead of inside? And then it's like, oh, okay, sure, I can do that. A lot of times, if the correction is such a simple thing, it's not that hard once you've connected. And the other thing about that is that in order to connect, a lot of times I have to calm my own response, where I have to realize a mud volcano in the house is not the end of the world. There are much worse things. I could be in some dungeon somewhere as a political prisoner being tortured right now. Like lots of horrible things could be happening to me, and have happened throughout history to human beings. Horrible things that are not happening to me right now. Horrible. No need. Can't overstress how much worse my life could be than having my kid make a mess in the house or disobey me or whatever. So trying to have that perspective helps to ease my own emotions, which makes it easier to connect. And then, of course, it goes beyond kids as well. And I think of my own being a man. And one of the things about men, and this is a generalization, of course, but as my understanding of the neurology, it's a touchy subject, I know, but that our brains are more able to detach from the human sort of drama of life, the human element, which can put us into the problem solving mode, where we see things mechanically and we can just see, oh, here's a problem that I can fix. And this is a wonderful capacity. It's the ability to kind of see perspective, to have a long-term view. It's like what I was just saying, where it's that ability to say, hey, this is on the grand scale of things, this one little problem is nothing. All of those, it also can be kind of psychopathic. We'll leave that aside. That's not the point here. The point is that male brain is built to be able to focus on a mechanical problem fixing, solving situation. So when we see a problem, we want to just go in and be like, I know the solution, I know what the problem is, come here, let me just fix you like you're a mechanical thing, put you back together, send you out, be done with it. I don't want to spend all day on this. I have other projects I want to get to. And it's not sometimes as natural to say, oh, let me connect first, even though I guess if you are really that kind of brain, systematizing brain, which is what they call it in the literature that I've read, the systematizing brain, which of course some women can have a systematizing brain. If you're in that systematizing mode, of course, you can also just think of this connect and correct as a system and algorithm that you can process. Oh, connect and then correct. That's a great way to plug it into your algorithm machine and be like, oh, did I connect first? No, I didn't. All right, let me back up, connect. Still works, even if you've systematized the human experience. Beautiful. Do it anyways. I love it. The point is that connecting in the human part is so crucial and not necessarily intuitive. And then, of course, the flip side is connecting without the correcting, which is just drama or just getting sucked into the drama of just the connection, like, oh, I'm really feeling this, and oh my gosh, this is terrible. And then it's just like, let's express these emotions and move around in this flood of emotions without ever solving a problem. It's just something I've been sitting with, thinking about. Absolutely applicable to my life. I think they had another way of phrasing it in the book as well. Connect. Uh, there was a different phrase. I like connect before you correct better. I just that whole system of steps is so simple, so easy to follow. That one thing, take it with you, practice it, memorize it, put it in your life if it's useful for you. If it's not useful, hey, put some comment down below where you're like, this is the worst advice ever. Who are you? And I can tell you're a bad parent. So get off of YouTube and leave me alone with this stuff. I would find that very amusing. And you know what I would try to do? I would try to connect with you. I would try to say, hey man, I really hear you. And I'm sorry that my YouTube video offended you so much. All right, no, I'm just joking. I'm joking.